Hello everyone, and welcome to the 38th Objective-C tutorial. In this tutorial, I'm going to be showing you how we can use literals in Objective-C. So literals are a new feature in Xcode 4.4, and basically what they allow you to do is create different objects such as NSNumber, NSArray, and NSDictionary much more simply than we have in the past. So basically less writing for you for the same code. And we've already done a few things with string literals, which have been around for a very long time, but Xcode 4.4 added all this support for these three other classes. So before I get into that though, this tutorial requires that you're running either Mountain Lion, or I believe this works with Lion as well, but you need Xcode 4.4. I think that's the important part here. So if you're trying this tutorial at home and it doesn't work, make sure you have Xcode 4.4 or higher, and this should work fine. So anyway, let's get on to the nice little tutorial here. So just to start out, I'm going to show you how we've done a string literal in the past, just to get you familiar with what a literal is. So if I created in a string called str, and I do the @ with the quotes, that's basically what a string literal is. And I could just say string, and if I wanted to nslog this, I could nslog this nice little object here called str. And if I go to run this, you can see that I would get string as my output because I'm just nslogging the string. And so, you know, we've had this for a very long time, and if you don't know what I'm doing right now, you probably haven't followed along at all with any of the previous tutorials. So if you haven't, just go watch the other ones. But that's what we had in the past, and it was good for strings, but Apple decided that, hey, we'll add some support for other classes such as NSNumber, NSArray, and NSDictionary. So that's what I'm going to show you in the next few steps. So if you want to now create an NSNumber without going, I'll show you the old way that we had to do this. We'd create an NSNumber, and if we wanted to create an int, I could say int num, and I could say NSNumber, number with int, and then I could pass in my int value. So I could say 67, and that would create an integer number, and then I could nslog that, and I just have a keyboard shortcut I made called typelog, but it just expands it to the nslog to print an object. And so you can just go ahead and type that in, and if I wanted to print out int num, I just print it out like that, and as you can see I get the value of 67. And just as a refresher, the NSNumber class is just a wrapper class for numbers so that you can put numbers into NSArrays and NSDictionaries and stuff like that, because you can't do that unless it's an object. So the NSNumber class allows you to do that. But this syntax that we use is just the normal, you know, use the class method number with int to create an NSNumber. But with the literal syntax, I can just say @67, and now I've just created an NSNumber, the same thing that I just wrote with the syntax. I just say @ and then the number, and that will give me a 67 integer as an NSNumber. So it's very simple, and as you can see when I print this, it works just fine. Now if I wanted to make this, say, an NSNumber that's wrapped in a float, so the normal syntax would be NSNumber, number with float, and then I'd put in my 4.656 or whatever, and then that would be that. But if I want to do this much more easily with the new literal syntax, I just have to say 4.56 and f, and that will give me an NSNumber float. So that just tacking on the f, that is, we've always used this to basically denote that it's a float, and that just creates a decimal number. Basically, we use floats all the time in Objective-C if you haven't really got familiar with it. But anyway, as you can see right there, when I print out this NSNumber, I get 4.56, and depending on what number you use, you might get some slight rounding error there, but usually it prints out what you put in. So anyway, with that, that is the NSNumber syntax, and there's a few other ones you can use. Big L for long, I believe, and you can look up, there's a bunch of other ones that you can use for that, but that's the general syntax for using NSNumber. Now, let's say I wanted to create an NSArray. Well, in the past, I could say array, And then to create an array, I'd say NSArray, array with objects. And then I'd have to throw in a bunch of objects. So if I want to put my string in there, if I want to put my int num in there, I could create my array like that. And that would be how we create an NSArray. And I can print that out. And just to show you what this looks like, for example, you see right here we have this part is my array, and between here the two parentheses, you can see the contents of my array. Now the point of this though is that we don't want to use this syntax, we want to use the literal syntax. So the new way that we can write this out is just with that @ sign, and we can use the two square brackets like so, and that just denotes a NSArray with the @ sign in front. And then I can just put a bunch of objects in. So if I want to put my string in, and if I want to put my int num in, there we go. I just created my new array with two different objects, and notice you don't actually have to put the nil in this either like you do with the NSArray method when you have a bunch of objects. So using this literal syntax, you just have to put the objects in, and you don't have to include the nil at the end. And so if I go ahead and run this, you can see that I get my string and my 4.56 object. So there we go. That is what I wanted to do for my NSArray, and you can just throw how many objects you want in that. Now the last new literal that we get is with the Nsdictionary class. And just make a new dictionary, and if I was to make a dictionary in the past, I'd say Nsdictionary, dictionary with objects and keys, and then I'd have to pass in all the objects and keys. So you know, I have an object here, we'll say if I put my, I don't know, I'll just say first object, and then I'll put my key, so key 1, and that would be the whole syntax for that. There we go. I'll just even that out a little bit. And if I wanted to nslog this, I would just nslog my dictionary, and I could run that. And as you can see, my key 1, the key 1 is mapped to my first object. And that's how I would create an Nsdictionary in the past, and you still can for you know, if you want to. But with Xcode 4.4, I can simplify this a lot and just use the literal syntax. So I can say @ sign. I can use the bracket keys to denote a dictionary. And you can see that it sets this up for us. So the first thing it asks for is the key now. So it's a little bit reverse from what it used to do. It used to ask you for the object first. But I can just say this is key 1. And it's going to map to object, let's see, I'll just map this to the string like so. Then if I want to add more, I just comma and keep adding to this. So I'll make this key 2. And that's going to be with the int num. And that's all I have to say. So that is my dictionary now. You notice it's shorter than the one that I only had one key in, and I have two separate objects and keys in this dictionary. So it's much more simple, and it can hold just as much. So there we go. We have key 1 mapped to string, and key 2 mapped to 4.56. And that is the new way that you can use literal syntax for these 4 different objects now. We used to just have NSString, but now with Xcode 4.4 we have NSNumber, NSArray, and NSDictionary. So anyway, if you have any questions on this, I think it's pretty straightforward, but if you do, just leave them in the comments below. More tutorials are on the way, and many more. We're going to have some neat tutorials coming up with Cocoa related to Mountain Lion as well. So anyway, stick around for more tutorials, and please subscribe to the channel. I will see you next tutorial.